Hello everyone, welcome to the Miss Stories and enjoy watching. Sveta wanted to surprise her. A month ago, Sergei gave her the keys to his apartment. He told her to let them be. The apartment is new, as Sveta realized. He lives with his parents most of the time. Today, Svetlana decided to make a surprise for her lover, to come home early and cook a delicious dinner. Sergei comes home from work, and there she is, Svetlanka, in a cozy robe and slippers, and an amazing smell covers the whole apartment. Singing, Svetlana went up to the 5th floor, put the key in, opened the door inaudibly, stepped into the hallway and froze. Svetlana heard voices. "Well, calm down little, because you have me. Well, that you, no one we do not need, you and me together. Well, calm down, I love you more than life. You know that and never, never I will leave you." Sveta had never heard such an affectionate voice from Sergei, such intonation. "You're my darling." This finished, Svetlanka. She looked into the big room for something. There in an armchair, Sergei was sitting and shaking in his arms, as a small shivering girl nestled in his lap. "Sveta." Sorosha was a little embarrassed, but continued to sit in the chair. She turned her face towards Sveta. "Beautiful," noted Svetlana to herself, "and young." Sveta turned around and, without saying a word, putting the keys on the nightstand, went downstairs. "Sveta, wait a minute." She turned around and saw a little embarrassed and something smiling Sergei. "Sveta." "Well, wait. We'll explain everything to you." "We." Sveta shook her head and walked away. What a pain, hurt she felt. She was a fool. She was having an internal dialogue. She pursued her lips. You'd think a handsome, not poor, young man of 30 was sitting as a monk, waiting for her, Svetlanka, who was a dozen years older than the one on her lap. Lealia. With longing thoughts, Svetlanka, of course, Lealia. She must have found out that she was spending time with a woman, and she used the woman's weapon. Tears. God, it's so banal. How could it be? How did she get herself into this mess? How disgusting. All weekend, Sveta sobbed. Still, she hoped that Sergei would call, begin to justify himself, something to say. But no, silence. On Monday, she received a text message from Sergei's number. "We need to talk." The address and time. As always, accurately, clearly, and to the point, grinned and shrank inwardly Sveta. "Well, that's it. Thank you for your time," said no more trouble, or as they have, the nouveau riche. "Shall I not go?" "No, I will." Resolutely said herself Sveta, "I will." She knew this cafe, not far from her work, by the way, not very cheap. Well, for a cup of coffee, Svetlanka was able to pay. Quiet music, silent, shadow-like waiters escort her to a table with a young girl who vaguely resembles someone. Yes, that's the one, Lealia. How did Sveta get caught like that? Should I turn around and leave? No way. She won't let anyone make fun of her. "Good evening, hello." Girl did not look rude, imposing, but she openly looked at Sveta. "I sent you a text message. I already understood. What for?" "I texted you. We need to talk." "About what?" "I don't pretend to be Sergei. I understand everything. He loves you, and my name is Olga." The girl was looking at Sveta without blinking. "Have a seat. We'll have a long talk." "Have you ever been married?" "Yes." "Do you have children?" "No, I haven't." "Why the question?" "What's with the interrogation?" "And I want to tell you a story, and you listen. You said you're smart, kind, and beautiful. All I can see so far is that you're beautiful." She called me beautiful. Svetlana was sincerely surprised. "I'm listening to you." Dashka was a badass, playing soccer with the boys, running around the garages with them fighting. At 10, she started smoking. At 12, she got drunk. She didn't like drinking. Sergei came from a well-to-do family. An excellent student, studied in a school with a mathematical bias and profound knowledge of English. Not a single free minute. And where did they meet? At first, no one knew about their friendship. They saw each other briefly. Mom's childhood friend was a teacher of physics at school where Dasha studied. That's what she told her mother when they met, that Sergei was a good influence on the girl. The girl is not bad, and in general. My mother paid no attention to her friend's words, and she should have. Children's friendship grew into something more, much more than Sergei's mother could imagine, and Dashka's mother was, how to put it mildly, did not care. Since childhood, Sergei was distinguished by responsibility and pedantry, and also when he was little, he dreamed of a brother, or at least a sister. But the dream did not come true. Mom believed that she fulfilled her duty to society and the husband, giving birth to a son, and can afford to live as she sees fit. Sergei's father, however, was very far from it all. He just earned money, and also thought he could afford to live as he wanted. Perhaps these two reached out to each other, despite their differences in social environment. They were confused at first. Not every 14-year-old teenager knows what to do in such a situation. The adults get confused and do whatever they want, and even more so the children of yesterday, who did such things out of curiosity. Today you can find out everything on the internet. The school sounded the alarm when skinny Dasha began to turn into a bombshell on thin legs. There were committees, some kind of proceedings. And strangely enough, not once was Sergei pulled, as if he did not exist at all. It was as if Dasha had somehow pulled it all off by herself, and he didn't go any deeper but was content with what Dasha told him. And the physics teacher, my mother's friend, had quit her job and left by that time. On his 15th birthday, at 6 o'clock in the morning, Dashka called and in a colorless voice congratulated him on the birth of a child. Sergei said thank you and went back to sleep. During the day he was somehow not interested, and only in the evening he remembered that Dashka was on the phone. When he called her, he heard sobs. She is in hospital, and they had a baby. Sergei went to the address Dashka had given him, brought what she had asked for. She stood in the window, small, thin, colorless, and somehow mysterious. He went to their place as much as he could. He wasn't short of money, so he could buy things like knickknacks and stuff. Sirius had hesitated to tell his parents that they had become grandparents until one Sunday morning, when the whole family was gathered together. The doorbell rang. Dashka's mother was standing on the doorstep, holding her dirty baby in her arms. "Well, you can't get in. You entrenched, you damned bourgeois." "And there you are, Daddy." The last word Dashka's mother spat out with hatred in the direction of Sergei. "Get your wealth?" That flirt flew away, and I the official. The incomprehensible parents stared at the woman, the child, and turned their gaze to Sergei. He silently took a sobbing baby in his arms and went into a room, feeling and recognizing a relative. The child began to calm down. The parents appeared at the door. The mother was white as chalk, holding some papers in her hands. The father, on the contrary, was red in spots. Both wanted to explain. Sergei, holding the child in his arms, calmly explained that he had been a father for 8 months already. The mother began to shout that she didn't believe it, that it was all surreal. She started to cry. She made some phone calls, and in the end she said she wasn't ready. She didn't want to be a grandmother. The father kicked her out of the room, told his son to tell him, "Evie, you're right thing." The father arranged for an examination. Of course, the child was his, Seryashkin's. The mother was sobbing and wringing her hands, looking for ways to hide the shame, until Sergei's grandmother, Daddy's mother, arrived. She quickly put everything in its place and was very helpful to Sergei and Olechka. Dashka appeared occasionally. She had her own fun life in which there was no place for Sergei and Olechka. And then she completely disappeared. Dad finished school, went to university. My grandmother put up with the fact that she is a grandmother and loved me, grandfather too. Daddy had a good education, a good job, but no private life. Of course he had women, but they either left on their own or he left. I do not know. Maybe he chooses some of the same type. But all of them, as one, just a little sense of power, try to get rid of me. No, not literally, not criminally. I'm not capricious, Sveta, do not think. And so I set out to find my mother. I thought, what if she loves me, accepts me, and it will be easier for Dad, no adult daughter looming on the horizon. That night, I didn't tell my dad I found her. She didn't really get lost. She lives 40 kilometers away. I went. She opened the door for me. She didn't invite me in. She lives well, thank God, she's not a drunk. She asked me what I wanted. You know, while we were standing in the doorway, from somewhere in the back of the apartment, a little girl of about 3 years old on a bicycle arrived. They had a conversation. You have seen the consequences of this visit and this conversation, Sveta. Mamatska called the girl. What was there? Daughter, go to the nurse. Mommy is now. I stood and looked at the girl. It's my sister, I understood. My sister. And this beautiful young woman, my mother. Is this your daughter? You see what you wanted. I don't think your grandparents are bankrupt, and you're eating your last piece of bread. I just wanted to look at you. I didn't want to repeat my mother's fate, and your father wouldn't have dared to tell his parents about you, about us. I figured it all out, so you should be grateful to me for making you feel this way. What if your mother hadn't taken me to my father? I went with her. I promised her money. Your father brought it to her. I was saving it to escape. When she came out, I gave her some and left. Are you studying? Got a boy? You're so pretty, the guys must be turning their necks. Look, don't be stupid. Okay, sorry I have to go. And that, don't come here again, don't. You must forgive me for not being a mother to you. I was walking like a dream. I used to dream at night, little girl, that my mommy was somewhere, waiting for me, loving me. No, I had enough love, of course. I came to town, I called my daddy, and he was here in the apartment. I saw him. I went to hide everything. But I could not, so I cried, and here you are. A confluence of circumstances. It's up to you. Do you want that kind of man? Do you know why he didn't call you all weekend? I didn't let him. I said you should cool down, and I'd better talk to him first. So here. You think about it, you know Dad's number. Think about it 100 times, I'm not going anywhere. You have to consider that too. So it won't be painfully painful later. Asterisk, 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 a year later, walking with the stroller, Svetlana met her mother. She was coming to bury her mother, Olia's grandmother. Hello. Hello, Mother said. Yes, the apple of the tree. You mean you? I see you've been drinking, you're craving alcohol. And I see you're witty, I guess you're like me. But, what? Oh, that. Dad, Mom, we're here. It's my brother, we're taking a walk while my parents went to the store. Goodbye, Daria Andreevna, don't drink too much, or do you know? The apple comes from the tree.